People often imagine that spiritual wisdom means sharing truth openly, speaking constantly about growth, announcing transformation, and telling others about every dream, every ambition, every plan. But there is a strange pattern that almost everyone experiences. The moment you explain a goal to other people, something changes. The energy weakens. Motivation becomes softer. Progress slows down. Sometimes the goal disappears completely. Modern psychology studies this effect today, but long before modern science, Buddhist teachings pointed towards something similar through a deeper understanding of the mind. Many people summarize this idea as, Buddha warned against explaining your goals. While this phrase does not appear as a direct quote in early Buddhist texts, it reflects an important principle found throughout Buddhist teaching: the danger of attachment to identity, craving for recognition, and confusing intention with accomplishment. The Buddha understood something that most people overlook. Human beings do not only pursue results. They also pursue the feeling of being seen pursuing results. And these are not the same thing. Imagine two people beginning the same journey. One quietly starts working every day without speaking much. The other announces every step, tells friends, posts updates, explains future success, and repeatedly describes what they will become. Months later, the first person has changed. The second person has mostly talked. Why does this happen? Because the mind can mistake social recognition for real progress. The Buddha spent years observing the human mind with unusual precision. He noticed that suffering is not only created by obvious desires like wealth or comfort. It is also created by subtle forms of attachment. One of the strongest attachments is attachment to identity, the need to be seen as intelligent, disciplined, spiritual, successful, awakened, or special. When you explain your goals publicly, the mind receives something immediately: attention. Attention feels rewarding, approval feels rewarding, recognition feels rewarding, but rewards given too early can interrupt effort. Suddenly your identity receives credit before your actions produce results. You wanted transformation. Instead, you received validation. The Buddha repeatedly warned against becoming attached to appearances. In his teaching, there is a major difference between becoming something and appearing to become something. This distinction appears throughout Buddhist practice. Someone may talk beautifully about compassion and remain impatient. Someone may discuss meditation daily and never observe their own thoughts. Someone may explain wisdom while reacting with anger to small inconveniences. Words create images. Practice creates reality. The Buddha consistently moved attention away from performance and toward direct experience. There is an old Buddhist image of carrying a torch against the wind. If you are careless, the flame burns the one holding it. In a similar way, speaking too early about goals can turn intention into ego. The goal begins serving identity instead of transformation. You no longer ask, "What must I do?" You begin asking, "What will people think?" You no longer focus on process. You begin protecting an image. This is where suffering quietly enters, because once identity becomes involved, fear follows: fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of changing direction, fear of disappointing others. The Buddha's path was not built around image, it was built around seeing clearly, and clear seeing often happens quietly. Think about the story of Siddhartha before awakening. He did not travel announcing that he would become the Buddha. He did not gather audiences to describe future enlightenment. He left comfort, searched, failed, learned, practiced, questioned, struggled, and eventually discovered understanding through experience. The transformation came first, recognition came later. Today we often reverse the order. We announce first, transform later, or never. This creates another problem the Buddha understood deeply. Talking about goals can strengthen attachment to the future. Buddhism constantly returns attention to the present moment, not because the future does not matter, but because obsession with future identity creates suffering. Many people live inside imagined versions of themselves: future successful self, future spiritual self, future peaceful self, future admired self. Years pass while the actual person remains unchanged. The Buddha redirected attention back to what exists now. Not, "Who will I become?" but, "What am I doing today?" Not, "How impressive is my plan?" but, "What am I practicing?" Not, "What story am I telling?" but, "What habits am I creating?" this does not mean never sharing goals. Buddhism is not secrecy. The Buddha taught communities, friendships, and wise companionship. But intention matters. Ask yourself, am I sharing to receive help, or to receive approval? Am I sharing for accountability, or for identity? Am I speaking because action is already happening, or because speaking feels easier than action? These questions reveal a great deal. Another Buddhist principle helps explain this: emptiness of self. This idea does not mean people do not exist. It means the identities we build are more unstable than we think. The problem begins when we become attached to labels. When someone says, I am becoming disciplined, I am becoming successful, I am becoming enlightened. The ego often begins protecting that identity. Then failure becomes terrifying, changing plans becomes painful, learning becomes harder, growth becomes slower. Silence protects flexibility. Silence allows experimentation. Silence allows mistakes. Silence lets action remain more important than image. This may explain why truly disciplined people often appear quieter than expected, not because they hide, but because they are busy becoming. Their energy is invested in movement, not announcement. The Buddha also emphasized something else that modern culture rarely celebrates: invisible progress. Seeds grow underground first. Meditation changes attention quietly. Character develops privately. Wisdom often appears ordinary from the outside. Many of the deepest transformations cannot be displayed while they are happening, and perhaps that is why silence can feel uncomfortable. Silence removes witnesses. Silence removes applause. Silence removes identity rewards. Only action remains. But according to Buddhist thinking, that is exactly where freedom begins, not in convincing others, not in managing impressions, not in performing progress, but in direct practice. This does not mean becoming secretive or isolated. It means understanding that not every intention requires an audience. Some goals grow stronger when protected. Some dreams need time before exposure. Some changes become real only after repetition. Speak less, practice more, observe more, announce less, transform more, and if results eventually appear, people will not need explanations. They will see the difference. Perhaps this is the deeper lesson hidden behind the idea that Buddha warned against explaining your goals. Not because goals are sacred, not because success should be hidden, but because the mind easily confuses being seen with becoming, and according to Buddhist teaching, becoming is never created by words, only by repeated action, clear awareness, and the quiet courage to continue even when nobody is watching. Thanks for watching. Our channel is new and needs your support. In our channel you can find many videos on the history and philosophical teachings of Buddhism. Please subscribe to our channel to support the teachings of Buddha on YouTube.